thank you for their hosting us in a matter of ways. This evening we have a number of activities. I guess delegations is one that we don't always have, so we've got 2 delegations, but we've also got a number of reports that will have the potential to take us onward for quite a while. I'm proposing that we'll just go through the agenda, and that 7 p.m. We'll do a time check and potentially break at that point. I guess it's part of the agenda, but just want to nod. Also a note, we've got 3 board members, elected board members here, which is quorum, and that's fine. But we're expecting a 4th to be joining us electronically online. And so I've asked to be notified on that. Well, let's get down to business. I'll begin by moving that the board approve the September 17th, 2024 open session agenda as circulated. Seconded, Eagle. Discussion, all in favor? Motion passes, and I'll move that the board approve the July 16th open session minutes as circulated. Seconded, Murray. Discussion, all in favor? The motion passes. Great. Well, now that we've taken care of a lot of the technical things, we'll just begin with our first delegation, Westbrook Place Plaza proposal. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Yes, Ian Carter is going to join us. Welcome, Ian. Thank you very much. Sorry? Oh, okay. Welcome, Faye, as well. Just a note that Faye has now just joined us.
You know, there, Chris.
Should be on.
On now? Is it on?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Well, my name is Ian Carter. I'm a retired architect, now an artist at iancarterartist.com. I live at Hawthorne with my wife. I've been there for 9 years. Every day I walk from, or sometimes drive, from my home to here, Westbrook. Every time I do that is between roughly 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. I also, that's every day. Also, I attend various events at Westbrook, maybe 3, sometimes 4 times a week, different times of the day. I'm saying that because I think I can say I'm fairly aware of how Westbrook works. This drawing up, this sketch idea is I called Westbrook Plaza. The reason for this is as a result of 9 years of walking around here on various times of the day, I notice how drivers sometimes drive their vehicles to, I'm glad to say I don't know of any accidents, but I've certainly seen many almost happen with people crossing the road without looking. Talking about the current on-grade parking. I also know that the underground parking is underutilized, put it that way. Even tonight, the cars going all over the place here tonight. Down in the parkade, there are it's probably half full. So I've checked that out. So what this is about is trying to make Plaza, the parking area, the on-grade parking area, safe. Make it a community space as opposed to a parking place. Now, if I can figure out how to work this thing. So this represents where the current parking is. There's Save-On Foods, liquor store, community center, pharmacy. This area, I'm hoping, could be used for community purposes, in the sense that people can come here, drink their coffee, have a lunch, have the kids play. There's a bandstand here to show perhaps the opportunity for someone to play guitar or sing or something like that. Kids can play. This pool thing, it's not actually a pool, it's not, no depth to it. It's the same kind of thing that you will see at Leland between Wildlife Restaurant and the Pure Pharmacy. where the holes in the ground, and people press a button and upshoot some water. So that kind of plaything, as opposed to a pool itself. Because a pool could be dangerous for young people. So that's the play area as well. Also, there's some standard sort of fixed seating, but also because of what's happening over here and down here, in other areas very close by, people sometimes like to be able to move the tables around as they gather, and other people join them, and so on and so forth. I've tried to keep some of the trees. This one is the big tree, which is probably older than any other tree around this area. And there's some parking, of course, and handicap parking here, and here where it currently is. This parking here has to remain for the liquor store. And the areas around here, which are called trestles, are for some shade and some planting. I want to make sure the crosswalks are here, to make sure that there's some kind of indication for people to be able to cross there without being run over by a vehicle. When trucks come in, they usually come this way. Sometimes they park along here. And then what they do is they do this and then back it. I'm amazed at how these drivers manage to do that. Underground parking is here. Now, there are two major things to be considered in this idea, which is that traffic circulation is restricted to a certain extent because of the fact that there's no parking here. That has to be discussed with our traffic engineers. Secondly, as I'm sure everyone knows, people come out of here with laden carts, probably 20% with carts. Where do they go with the cart? They can't go here to unload the cart for their vehicles. And it's unlikely that they will want to go down here. So the one area of concern for me in this is that I don't know how to get down to the parquet without an elevator of some kind. Something similar again to Leyland. It could be here where it says carts. I have no idea what's below that, directly below that. I know it's space, but I don't know if that's possible. It could be here. This is where the
there is they have
an access, right?
an access on the other side, where you've got the to from parkade access there on the other side of the square.
over here.
No, way over to the far right, there, right there.
Elevator there, though, isn't it?
No,
It's a moving ramp for
No,
carts.
You can't use that, Richard.
Oh, for
You can't take a cart down there.
yes, they can.
Big sign says you can't.
They might have changed that. It's under repair right now, but
Yeah, I know, yeah.
but certainly it was designed for carts.
Well, that's great news then. I don't have to worry about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So anyway, if that's correct, then that's fantastic, because what we have to do now is train people to go this way instead of coming across to here.
Yeah.
So all this is about trying to make this a community area for people, kids, some space for them to play, some spaces for people to gather, have coffee, have a meal. Similar to what's happening over here. Now this area tends not to be treated as well as perhaps this could be because it's in the shade most of the time. Now I respect, of course, that our weather's pretty good. On the whole, our weather's pretty good. We don't get too many cold days. So I would suspect that this could be used for maybe 75 to 80% of the year. That's just an estimate, of course.
Okay.
So I think that's it. I know I have a very strict time limit, but I think the main thing for me to say is that I would really like this to happen. I'd like it to become part of the redevelopment plan for Westbrook. I have no idea what it's going to cost, because this is just an idea, it's a concept. And we need to have some real expert advice as to how this is all going to develop, including how vehicles will move around. Some vehicles have to be able to come across from, or get out along Ross Drive, for example. I think that's it. I think my 5 minutes is up.
Yep. Thank you very much, Ian. That's wonderful. At this point, what we do is we just open it up for board members or members to have questions. And there's really no resolution or discussion. The point of us asking questions is really to gather more information about it. And the board takes this information. really much appreciate it. And then we deliberate on it, and then there's a possibility of action in the future, but not part of the delegation. So yeah, so having said that, questions, comments?
Thanks, Ian. Thought-provoking, and I appreciate you taking the time to present this. I think what resonates with me is the concept of making an area more centered on community, safer, given the conflict with cars, and more efficiently designed as well. As I don't go down that parkade very often, but I don't doubt it is not highly used given the. So I think there's an opportunity here, whether it's exactly as you laid out, to envision what that space might, how that space might contribute to the community in a more attractive, productive fashion. So I don't have any specific questions other than to thank you for the suggestion.
Eagle.
Yeah, thanks. And I'll second that. I have a question and a comment, which I can follow up with after you consider the question. So the question, it relates to the points that Murray just made. I was wondering from a planning perspective, I know you're an architect, but you have been involved with planners and planning for quite a long time. I'm wondering from a planning perspective, how you see making a kind of the centerpiece of a neighborhood being a parking lot versus the centerpiece of a neighborhood being a plaza, how you see those each, kind of affecting the sense of community and the way that public spaces, function for a community. It's a little bit of a leading question, but.
No, I understand. I believe that the universe is growing. There's no doubt about that. More and more people are coming to this area, whether it's a community center or Save-On or I don't know, all over this area. Many more people are coming. A lot of cars tonight or this afternoon, I guess. I saw a lot of cars moving around. People all looking for parking, but many tried to park around this area, around the outside area, but none, but very few anyway, went down into the parkade building. I went down there to check it out. It was about 50, may not have even beat 50% full. It was amazing. It's underutilized. And people are not, maybe are not aware of it, I don't know. But I think that something like this, right in the middle of this really active area, the community center, as I said, Save-On, even liquor store, and of course the what's it called, Sports Illustrated Clubhouse, which attracts a lot of younger people as well. And there are 4 or 5 restaurants in that main area. As a space just down here, this public space here, where they have there's a water feature there. People do tend to sit outside and eat their lunch, whether it's sushi or something they've got from Starbucks or whatever. So I think if we can do something like this, I think people will gradually become more and more aware that there's somewhere they can do a nice day and chat with friends, neighbors, and maybe have a coffee. And the kids are safe. Can be made safe. This is don't forget, this is a concept. This is an idea. Mm-hmm. There's no development for this yet.
Yeah, it's a shame the Properties Trust representative Paul is not here. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I think it would be worthy of maybe talking and listening to this, because certainly the traffic's an issue. I know there's big issues with traffic going through for the schools as well. There's a parent pickup, an informal parent pickup zone there, which causes traffic jams every day. Their school. Yeah. So yeah, if you overlay that onto the parking, it can be really difficult. I'm not sure how that would turn out, but I think it's worth evaluation to see what might come of that. Certainly, from a planning perspective, is there a possibility that I know that the Properties Trust and the university are putting together a revised neighborhood plan. Is there anything process-wise that, I don't know, maybe the UNA could do with respect to this to at least merit some consideration? I'm asking you, Carol, because it's, I think it's, as we're all aware that UBC, Campus Community Planning, does the, is the center of the planning part, yeah.
Well, I think we will be having lots of conversations with the UNA board on the Westbrook Place Neighborhood Plan Amendment process. That's limited in scope to the south area of Westbrook. I do thank you, Ian, for this presentation. I too love the idea of public plazas and effective use of public space. But these ideas are always, I mean, we don't need a planning process to explore ideas like this. So I think certainly it's worthy of a conversation.
Thanks, Carol. Well, it's wonderful to introduce that. Now, I'm wondering if Manuel, if there's a part of the newspaper, maybe it's worthy of looking, sharing an idea with the neighborhood, that just to see how it lands, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Ian.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Faye, welcome. I just wanted to make a note that during that presentation you weren't visible, so I wasn't sure whether there was whether you got your questions or whether you had any questions. I've let Chris know that if you have questions and I miss it, he will flag me. So hopefully.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I'm good. I saw clearly and I listened clearly. It's good. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, well, our next presentation is from another Westbrook Village resident, Joan Hebb. Joan, welcome.
I live at the retirement institute on the other side of Westbrook, on the eastern side of Westbrook, called Tapestry. But I am not here as a delegation from Tapestry. I'm here as a private citizen. Now, in the agenda, which I'm presuming everybody got that folder, there are three documents consisting of 3 emails, just representative emails of what I have been over the past couple of years sending to the UNA and anybody else who will listen. And I have to say, I'm partially blind, so I might stumble a bit, but bear with me. So I'm actually going to segue right into my email about the traffic, because it sort of complements, in a way, what Ian said, and it has to do with the movement of vehicles. Westbrook Mall has, in my view, become a freeway. And I've lived here 2.5 years, so I fairly concentrated perspective, but no one goes 30. And I go 30 in my little yellow smart car, and people line up behind me and they honk. And I stay at 30 because I'm darned annoyed that these people are not paying any attention, and there are consequences to that. Many of them don't even stop. They cruise into the crosswalks, and they cruise right through them. They don't stop, even if there's somebody waiting to cross. That's not all drivers, but that's many. And heavy vehicles, such as the cement trucks and the big delivery vans, the huge thing that comes in for Savon is about a block long, and they don't belong on a cobblestone street. And at the top end of the village, it's cobblestone, and they've ruined it. So it's already been dug up once, and it's already, you could easily fall if you don't watch where you're going. And at my age, I watch where I'm going. But I think this is an accident waiting to happen. Vehicles, when there's a building being built, it's understandable that traffic can be used or can use the streets because obviously they're an operation ongoing. But when the building is finished, why can't the traffic go in the other direction if it's clear? In other words, they don't have to come through the village when they've finished delivering all their iron, what is that stuff called that put into?
Rebar.
Rebar. These huge trucks with rebar, they go bang, 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 bang as they go by. The buses themselves are almost too much for that street. So I think people not doing business in the village should be forced, and I use that word very carefully because I'm not going to do it, but to use Marine Drive. There should be some indication when they come along Marine Drive, coming west, that local vehicles only, or some sign like that, because they can easily go another minute's drive to 16th, and then they have a choice of continuing on Marine or using 16th to get into here, but they don't have to go through the whole village. But most of them are going down to Market East somewhere. And so they don't need our street. It's a shortcut. And I think, now, there are consequences. And there have been two events recently. One of them about 4 months ago at the beginning of the summer. A woman living in Tapestry came out of the front door, the main building. As you do, she came out and she stood not far from the doormat and to look, where to, and just started out like that, and along came a 10-year-old on one of those scooters, and he knocked her right over. She lay on the sidewalk with her face on the ground. She had facial injuries. She was bleeding. This child's parents were with him. They picked up the scooter, picked up the child, and disappeared. And that's true. And I'm not making it up, but it sounds pretty awful.
We actually had a presentation from that woman.
Did you?
Yes, we did. She came. Yeah, it was very serious.
Yes.
And we were
And in the last
very
2
sorry about
weeks,
that.
somebody was in that multiple white-lined crosswalk that empties the square onto Westbrook.
Mhm.
This poor gentleman came out of Tapestry in his wheelchair, started to cross, and a car came right through, knocked him over, and he was left lying on the road. And that car went away. It was a hit and run. So something is wrong. And I think we need to make Westbrook less attractive for vehicles of all kinds. And I think one way to do that would be to put lights, traffic lights, at maybe 2-block intervals or maybe less even, but to allow people to cross safely with the light in their face. And if we don't have an automatic light system, then it should be pedestrian activated. But there should be no question that you stop. You stop for crosswalk signs, you stop for pedestrians in the crosswalk. I mean, it's a stop sign, for goodness sake. It's red and white, and they don't do it. So that is my big rant. So I'll try and be brief with the other two. One of which is music in the square, in the village square, and we find I'm right on Westbrook. I face the street, and we cannot. And the people in Tapestry, and I'm sure this is true of people all around the village and close enough to have to listen to loud music. We can't sit on our balconies in the summer because it's so noisy. And all the traffic going by, it's really, and the music pierces the traffic noise because it's acoustic, it's far too amplified. And we've gone over and asked if they couldn't do something, and then I've gone into the properties office and left a letter email about this, but nobody seems to want to deal with it. It was really hard to find out who to go to. The music, thank goodness, is okay, and sometimes it's really quite lovely, but it's too loud. We can't talk to one another, even with our doors shut. We've got double glazing, and we can't have a conversation. I can't read with the noise because it really is distracting. There's something about the electrification of the music, which is very piercing, very successful for what it's meant for. But as I said, it's meant for stadiums and rock concerts and that kind of thing. It's not meant for a neighborhood. And I think it would be more fair if somebody, maybe somebody here, could arrange to negotiate with the neighbors who are concerned about it and come to a happy, I think everybody's willing to compromise. And this does need compromise. All right, the last thing, I know I'm probably over time. Lighting at night. The lamp lights, I don't think there are enough of them, lamp posts, but the worst part of it is that they're usually, they seem to be wired in 2s and 3s. In any case, they go out and nobody comes around and replaces the light bulb. And so they're very dark, and I have a little dog and I have to walk her at night. And it's getting to the point where I'm afraid to go to some places because it's so dark. The worst part of this is that on the eastern end of the village walkway, the last 100 meters from the southeast corner of Corana Park over to Binning, there is no lamp standard, not a single one. And there are trees on both sides. And as a woman, I feel, I'm not exaggerating, I feel, damn it all, who's the guy who left the light standards out of this stretch of walkway? Why would they do that? And obviously they didn't think about women or girls. Anyway, so I would like to see that repaired so that I can walk freely with my dog and don't have to stay in just very small areas that are properly lit. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Joan. If you could just stick around just for a moment, just in case there's questions or comments from anyone here. So really appreciate your presentation. Eagle.
Joan, I want to thank you so much for coming and presenting on 3 of my biggest pet peeves about our neighborhood. There's so much possibly to say, and I don't want to take up too much of our time going on myself, because you so eloquently raised these really troubling issues around traffic, around lighting, and around noise that seems to exceed at times what is allowable according to UNA bylaws or the noise bylaw, although I'm not sure if that's the case or not. But thank you for bringing these issues and giving us very specific examples of how they affect residents. It's very valuable. I suspect we have a lot of jurisdictions that are involved in the issues that you brought up. I think the lighting is one that would probably fall under UNA operations, although we can follow up with
Maintenance of the
maintenance of the lighting, and so I'm sure that they've heard well your concerns about specific areas, and I would personally ask them to follow up and look into the concerns that you raised about lighting. About noise, I'm not sure, maybe I should ask UNA staff whether there was any monitoring of the noise levels for the outdoor music series, because usually those noise levels are checked if there's a specific complaint about noise. And I'm not sure if it's, maybe I'll ask Wegland about that.
I can provide a quick update. So in terms of the live music series, we do not do noise checking for the noise music series, but if we receive complaints, we will certainly do an on-site noise checking. But having said that, for the Olympic viewing events, we do a proactive noise checking during the setup, just to make sure the noise is within the requirement. And perhaps I can also go back in terms of the lighting around east of the Corona Park. So we actually had make a follow-up on-site visit in the area, and we noticed there is some deficiency in terms of the original build. So within the design, there's supposed to be 3 street lamps supposed to be built in there, but unfortunately, it's not in place. So we have already followed up with UBC PT as to reinstall the street lights to improve lighting situation in there.
Thanks so much. That's great news. And I'll say on behalf of a parent of a young lady who goes jogging at night around our neighborhood, I want to emphasize Joan's concerns about us having certain areas that are unlighted. Effectively, it takes it off the table as a place where, where my kid can jog at night, right? Where you could walk, etc. Right? It's very it's great to hear that might be able to be remedied. About traffic, I just wanted to ask both Carol and Wegland or Paul, if he wants to weigh in on who would be responsible for monitoring and sort of counting the number of cars that are moving through, the speeds they're going. I know UBC does that, on East Mall and various places on Westbrook, north of 16th. But is that something that the traffic folks over at Campus Community Planning are interested in and on top of? Okay.
Thanks. Did you want to comment on that?
No, I just gave it.
Okay, thumbs up is good. All right, thank you. Murray.
Thank you. I want to echo Eagle, Joan, and thank you for coming with your concerns. Really appreciate your attendance. I had one question for you, and that is, you've been in the neighborhood for 2.5 years. What have you observed over that time in respect of these issues? So traffic, so can you say more?
Much more traffic, because there's more construction going on. But that construction means there will be more traffic because the people are going to live in those buildings. And UBC has just been given permission to 37-story residential building. Many of them will go up in the village, but it's just more and more people, and everyone thinks of that fact. And I think if we have these problems now, we're going to have them that much more so when there are more people. The idea of having to get rid of your car is premature because there's nothing. The public hasn't got too much of an alternative. Bus service isn't bad, but we still don't have the subway computer. We still need their cars until there are enough alternatives. And we seem to get the cart before the horse.
Thanks again, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay, wonderful. All right, the next item on our agenda is the external reports and presentations. So the Campus Community and Planning Report. Carol, can you just through that?
Thank you, Richard. Just getting to the right page in the agenda package. The report is before you. I'm just going to do a special shout out to a very special event happening later this week on Thursday, Harvest Festival. And I'm so happy to see that hopefully many of you are able to attend this event. It's a wonderful community and university event that happens outside of the Nest, where we have a sort of long table style dinner with food from the farm and catered by our own UBC scholar or stage catering, and it's a great opportunity to meet new friends and come out and enjoy each other's company. So that's happening this Thursday. We've got a variety of other events coming up that are in the agenda package before you. And the other big news, which was already reported out in the Campus Resident, is the land use plan approval or adoption by the province. So we're happy to see that be adopted, and we'll be moving through on the implementation of Campus Vision through a variety of different initiatives coming up, which are outlined in the agenda package. I'm happy to take any questions back to the team or answer them if I'm able.
Thanks, Carol. Perry.
Thanks, Carol. I had a question about the BC government announcement for the funding for student housing. I noted the location as being currently the site of UBC's St. John's College. So what is happening to the college, if anything?
Our team can come back and provide more details through that planning process, but there'll be it's a combination of new beds and replacement beds. So it's an expansion of residential service or student residence beds in addition to expansion of St. John's College. So, yeah.
So will the college stay as it is, or is it being rebuilt, or is it being, what is actually the plan there?
I don't have the details on that, but we can certainly provide those through the planning process as it continues going down the approval process.
Thanks.
Eagle.
Yeah, I was speaking with the principal of St. John's College the other day. I just happened to, have just heard this news, and so I asked him, and his understanding is that St. John's College. So right now, St. John's College is it's really like 2 stories, and it's a big area with a lot of courtyard space and whatever. So the St. John's College would be incorporated into the new structure, but they're gonna build a lot more up, as well as have St. John's College on that site. So.
Thanks. We got other questions for Carol. One, speaking of reports, and Carol informed me this evening that we lost one of our former UNA directors on Sunday. Richard Alexander passed away this past Sunday. He was the chair of the UNA board of the UNA for well, I think a number of years, and then he was away, and then he came back as well. And I encountered him. He was part of my orientation session as an elected director. So just would like to pass out my condolences to all who knew Richard on behalf of the UNA. And if there's more information, I think there is a memorial service, but yeah, please contact the UNA. We'll try and get you connected to the appropriate information. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I have a question. Excuse me. Yeah, thank you, Carol, for this report. I noticed there is the event held by UBC for the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I just wonder, is that will UNA promote that among the residents? Will the residents be welcome to join this event?
Yep, Paul, do you want to answer that? Or
I'm actually not aware of the UBC event.
Oh.
So.
Go ahead.
Sorry. It's a acknowledgement of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September 30th. So university classes are not happening. And we encourage everyone to take advantage of a range of events that are happening across the city and the region in recognition of this day.
Thanks, Carl. In the past couple of years, there have been actually the Indigenous Center, I think, by the library, that they have had several events. Presume they are taking place again this year?
Yeah, and everything would be available on the UBC events calendar. Any events that are happening on that day.
Okay,
Yeah.
so check out the UBC events calendar, and all UNA residents, I think, would be, well, all public would be welcome to participate.
There is specifically the march that's happening on that day, and there's more information in the agenda package around that as well.
Great.
Yeah, I just feel like in previous years, I noticed this kind of events will happen every year, but unfortunately, most residents, they are not aware of this kind of events happening. I think it's better to promote among the residents so that people is aware of that and can join this, take this advantage.
Great point, Faye. Thank you.
We can certainly put some information in the newsletter that will go out to the community and potentially highlight it on the website as well, so community members are aware. That'd be great.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, very good. Okay, other questions? Good, well, thank you very much, Carol. The next item, the Electoral Area Director report. Jen McCutcheon is not able to attend tonight. I don't think there was a report submitted. No, there was no report submitted. So I think we'll just move on unless there's somebody who has a question or something that like the UNA staff to forward. No. Okay, great. We're on to our August and September management report. Paul.
Thank you very much. And as you can see, we had a fairly busy August and September already with a lot of work completed. I'll quickly, you see the overview that I put in for some of my activities. There's a small handful that I would like to highlight, one of which, and you'll hear more about it in some of the other departmental reports, but one of which was thanks to the board support, we did a significant upgrade to the UNA servers, which went through our fall registration program without incident or any instability. So for the first time in a number of years, we had a solid IT backbone to support our registrations, which was really good to see. We did have kicked off and engaging a consultant on revamping the 5-year financial model for the UNA, and I know Athena will speak to that a little bit in her report as well. It's important work for the future financially for the UNA. Internally, we have selected a consultant to begin the implementation of a HR management software within the organization to build a strong foundation for our HR management processes across the organization, across all levels of the HR system. That is a project that's just getting kicked off. But the board should expect to hear back from Athena and I in the next cycle around some resourcing for that project as well. The only other highlight that I want to make was that I've continued the discussions with campus and community planning, particularly around the future relationships and understanding of service delivery. And I know that Michael White is following President Bacon's attendance at the board in October. We'll be wanting to return to the board for some additional conversations about those processes as well. With that, maybe I'll open it for any questions on the CAO side before we move on to communication.
Thanks, Paul. We got Murray.
Thanks, Paul. I had a question about your note meeting, about your meeting with UBC PT marketing staff, and just wondered if you could add a little bit more color about that.
Yeah, thank you. That's just been part of my reaching out to the various both UBC-focused entities and the community, and with Properties Trust and meeting with the marketing folks has really been about trying to make a connection of myself with the business community, particularly here in the village. That's not something that we've really worked very closely on. So just getting to know who's who, and out of that has come think coming up in the next week or two, I'll be attending the regular business group meeting that happens for the Westbrook businesses with Properties Trust, introducing myself, introducing the UNA a little bit to them, and also hearing from the business community a little bit more about how the UNA can support to the extent that we have those authorities and jurisdictions that might apply, but support the business community here in the UNA as well as the larger residential community.
Thanks, Paul. Sorry. Yeah, of course you can. It's an open meeting. Yeah, you can be on your way. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Other questions for Paul before we move on? Okay. Glenda, Communications.
Hello, everybody. My report is before you. Nothing really to highlight, except I wanted to just give thanks to members of the newspaper editorial committee who helped us out while Emmanuel was away in the last couple of months. Particularly, really big thanks to Warren Caragata and Robin Starkey, and of course our NEC chair, Eagle, last time. So thank you so much. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Glenda. We've got questions. Not hearing any. We'll just say thank you very much. It's good. Good to know there's lots of activities happening right now. Yeah. Maybe I have one comment. Just from a communications point of view, the upcoming AGM, I imagine, is a big thing, and I do see it that is being announced. So thank you for that and taking care of that. Good. Okay. Who's next? Is it recreation? So Josie?
I'll start.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll just quickly, I can't go through the details of the recreation report, but I did want to highlight one thing. As you are certainly aware, Mr. Gillis is still away on having some. He's recovering from some health issues. And I did ask Josie to come if you had any questions regarding the report. I do want to highlight one thing, and it's great that Josie's here because Josie's team is central to it, is I did want to give kudos and all hands up to the Recreation Department on the Neighbors Day event. I think very well organized again. I think very well attended, and at least largely from the outside. Josie may have a different opinion at times. Smoothly run, and duck legs spinning underneath calm water, I'm sure. But for my first time being able to attend an event like that here in the community, it was really great to see. Other than that, if the board has any questions on the recreation side, the usual data is available, and Josie will certainly try to respond to any questions you have.
Thanks, Paul. Eagle.
Yeah, I want to second Paul's applause for Neighbors Day, and thanks, because it really it was a great time. It was a lot of fun. I talked to a lot of people there, and I saw a lot of people talking to each other, taking books from the book giveaway stand, and cotton candy. And about the only thing that wasn't super popular was the beer, which is really surprising. But but many thanks. And also, I just wanted to highlight for all of us that how many volunteers were mobilized for that event. It was a really large number, and they were of all ages. There were lots of high school students, which is excellent. Have them out there doing that kind of work rather than who knows what. And being the father of a couple of those volunteers, I know that they had a good time. They appreciated it. The opportunity, and they enjoyed being with their friends, and so anyway, thanks.
Mary.
Thanks. One question about the data, and Josie, I don't know if you have an answer for this. Just this, it's about the sports drop-in. I noticed in 2024, 25-fold increase, perhaps, if my math is close. What explains that? So historically, it's been 30-ish, people dropping in for sports, and now it's 750. So clearly something's going on here. Is there a new, are we counting differently? Is there a new program? It's right at the top of the section. Yeah. Page 23, bottom of, it's the first chart in the recreation report, sports drop-in, fourth line.
Unfortunately, I cannot comment on this number. This is a report pulled by Chen I'm not sure how we got 748 there. That might have just been a typo.
It looks to me, just looking at the number, that I think that kind of increase is unlikely. We'll just have to go back and check the data, make sure there's not a typo there.
Eagle.
I've noted or been told that there's now pickleball drop-in, and that it's incredibly popular, and that people line up early to get spaces. And I'm not saying that the number is not wrong, but you know, pickleball really draws them out.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? One observation I have is for the first time, there are pictures about the biannual all front desk staff meeting. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's good to get a feel for the staff that are there. And so thank you for doing that. Another comment just about Neighbors Day, which basically echoes everyone. It was a very successful event. For me, one of the two observations. One is that we expanded and used more of the field and had the activities better laid out. I thought that was wonderful. The other comment is because it was a new field, it had a new feeling to it too, because when you're walking on the new turf and everything. So I thought that added an extra bounce to the events. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you again, Josie. All right. So the next one, is it Wegland or is it? Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Richard. So the report is before you. This month we have a rather large report, and there's a few things that I would like to highlight. The first thing that I would like to highlight is Isabel, our sustainability specialist. She is joining us in person, and I would like to let her quickly introduce herself and provide a brief update under her sustainability portfolio.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here. I'll just provide a really quick update with the big highlights in terms of sustainability. August was one of our busiest months at the Green Depot. From last year's August, we increased the amount of waste we recycled by over 2,000 kilograms, which is a huge number. And we've also expanded our free item circular economy initiative, and now that's available 7 days a week. And we've really seen a large uptick there. And through that initiative and expanding it to an everyday initiative, we've repurposed or gifted over 1,000 kilograms of books, household items, videos, and other items that can be reused and don't have to be recycled. Another quick update I can give is that we had the Seed Sustainability Project wrap up. So this project actually created a full shape map for the neighborhoods and campus. And a really exciting feature is that it's publicly available and interactive. I hope the link transferred. And then we have more Seeds projects to come, which will be the Climate Resilient Planting Project for this September.
Thanks very much, Isabella and Wegland. Have we got questions or comments? Murray.
Yeah, thanks very much for the report. I had a question about a topic that came up previously. It was the introduction of the different ground cover in Hawthorne. Has there been any progress on that question?
Yeah, thank you, Mary, for bringing that up. So we are working with a consultant, and then we are expecting coming back to the board in the October board meeting to provide more updates.
That's great to hear. I received an email, I haven't forwarded it yet, but one of our residents actually was suggesting based on that we needed a consultant or some help. So it's great to hear that we've got that. That's good. I have good news to report back to the resident. So good. Okay. Other questions for Wegland or Isabel? Again.
Yeah, I have a question. I received the residents' question because their building was under construction about the pipe. After that, they just felt the water had a strange taste. I just wonder, should I forward their request to UBC or UNA?
Yeah, I don't know. Paul, could you?
That water supply would be a UBC matter, so it should go there. If you'd like to forward it to operations staff, we can certainly pass it on to the appropriate parties.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Paul.
I guess one just comment on the shade report is pretty cool to look at. So exciting to have that link, and the link worked. So that's great. Okay, finance report, Athena.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone after the summer. I hope you had a good one. So my report is before you. I have a few things I would like to highlight for the annual general meeting, AGM. So first of all, thank you, UBC. I've been working with Ivy. She will be coming to present. But also, I would like to just address to Carol and maybe Holly, if you have any other UBC representative would like to join the meeting, not necessarily presenting, just let us know so we can make arrangement for that. And yeah, I think the first quarter review I will be talking about later on in the finance section. The 5-year financial model, Paul has already touched bases. Thank you again. I've been working very closely with UBC. This is a joint project, so to update the model, which is a very important piece of our forecast. And yeah, I think that summarized what I wanted to highlight for this part. But I do have one question, more specifically might be for UBC PT. My staff is telling me for this year, they have some issue because we got support from UBC PT, which is in the budget. But this year, this month, for some reason, there is some issue. So I just wanted to know if there's anything in specific that I need to be aware of, or it's just an internal thing. It might be a George question. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can get that question to both Campus Community Planning and the UBC Properties Trust.
Okay.
To get that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay, so that's
it's
it.
just a revenue stream issue, is it?
No, they said they have problem getting the approval. So I think it's not the clerical thing. So that's why I want to bring it up here to see if there's something I might need to be aware of. So yeah.
Thanks, Athena. I think if you can just send me a note and then we can follow up offline. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Have we got other questions or comments for Athena? Not hearing any. Thanks very much, Athena. That's good. I'm particularly pleased about the 5-year model and looking for more information as it becomes available on that. Yeah. Good. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the staff work plan, Q1 report. Paul.
Thank you very much. So as the board's aware, we've put together on an annual basis the staff work plan that's based upon the board's strategic plan, aligning staff's work with the strategic priorities. So this is the Q1 report. Of course, it's relatively early in the year, so progress Well, I was going to say it's early in the year, but we have still been able to make substantial progress on a number of strategic areas, and the attached document provides some details around that. I would highlight, in addition to the attachment that's provided, 3 items, and they're included in the report. One is the progress on moving forward on the implementation of the Neighborhood Climate Action Plan. That was significant work by UBC in developing that plan, and there is significant work for the UNA being directed through our operations section and the sustainability team on implementing aspects, and there's ongoing work and conversation going on with UBC to implement those things. You heard some of those already this evening in Isabel's presentation. Just also wanted to highlight the launch of the revised UNA guidebook, which provides additional information or better information for newcomers in particular to the UNA, and that was successfully implemented in this quarter. And lastly, this is a project like many that go kind of under the covers of the organization, as Athena and her team implemented entirely new financial and accounting system for the organization. It's a significant amount of work and a significant success. With any implementation of IT infrastructure, there's always scratchy parts and some ongoing work, but I think we're in a much better place in terms of at the staff level, staff being able to get more clear reporting for themselves for their own budgets, us being able to provide additional reporting details for the board, and certainly it will support us as we develop budgets in subsequent years. So it's a really important improvement, and I wanted to highlight that. Other than that, you've got the attachment with some details and other items, and certainly we'd be happy to respond to any questions you may have.
Thanks, Paul. Forgot questions. I have one question, and it's actually related to the items for tonight, and I want to point out part of our goal is on page 44 of the actual work plan first quarter update. So that our goal is to develop the capacity and tools to regulate matters of public safety and public order, including matters related to animal control, protection for pedestrians and cyclists. I'm pleased that we've got a dog park issue coming up. I'm very happy about that. But I wondered, is there anything that you can report on that the board may be required to provide action in terms of adjustments to the strategic plan for the public order protection of pedestrians and cyclists? Now, we have just had 2 residents to talk about those issues, and so I'm just wondering how is it in our plan, or is there something that we might need to make an adjustment to if we were to?
Thank you for that. I think that's an important question, certainly highlighting the comments from this evening, but also allows me to highlight some of the work that is underway, again, sort of under the covers. You will have seen, but it wasn't highlighted by Wegland in the operations report, the initiative that we have, this Walk Your Wheels initiative in the village, where we've done signage on the sidewalks in areas where conflicts have been an issue or could be an issue. Starting that process of public education on walking their bikes or scooters or whatever the personally operated mobile device may be, to begin a process of mitigating some of those issues. I know I have had conversations with campus and community planning, Carol in particular, on some additional discussions with campus transportation folks on some work around this and what we can do as we go forward to up our game, frankly, on pedestrian safety. That may result incrementally at some point in the future at a look at some kind of regulatory approach that the board may wish to take. We're not at that point yet, but it's certainly something that's on, at least on my mind and list of priorities, and I know it's on the minds of campus and community planning as well. So it's worth highlighting. I don't think it requires a change to the strategic plan yet. It falls under that umbrella, and I'm hopeful that as the year progresses, we'll be able to report on some more proactive approaches we may be taking.
Thanks, Paul. Good. Murray.
I just wanted to make a comment on the transportation front, and it's a little bit outside the scope of the UNA, but I know we didn't have the director from Electoral Area A here tonight, but I know that there have been some discussions around the upgrade to Chancellor Boulevard that we will all have seen, and I understand that there's been, I'd say, a shared interest both at the Electoral Area A level and with UBC to try to align the repaving and relining of Chancellor with the active transportation goals here. That unfortunately has not been particularly successful, and I think it really highlights the divide with MOTI and the Ministry of Transportation. To put a finer point on it, after all of the work to repave Chancellor and put new lines in, there is no bike lane, and it's a major miss, I think. Coming westbound to the campus, the lanes are very wide. The posted speed limit is 60. Many people go 90. There are lots of bikes, and it's really very unfortunate. So we need to do better, and I think the UNA and UBC can really join forces and try to get to a better place with the province on these kind of issues. And it relates to Joan's comments around Westbrook as well. There's a lot of interjurisdictional issues here, and it's not operating at the level we'd like.
Thanks, Bernie. Okay, without any other comments or questions, we'll move on. So that report is received. Thank you. Our next one is the off-leash dog park report. And so, Wegland.
Thank you very much, Richard. I will try to go as quickly as possible in terms of the history of the dog park. And then for this specific report, thank you so much for the working group, as well as working with UBC campus planning for the outcome of the siting report. So it's a follow-up in terms of the site selections, which is in Westbrook Site 5, that is coming from the siting report provided by campus planning. And for this, I'm going to put the Site 5 that is shared on the screen right now. This site, just a brief history on this, is the site is currently managed by UBC Property Trust, and this specific site is a dedicated future elementary school site that is supposed to be an elementary school for K kindergarten up to grade 7, with approximately 400 students to be in place. And for the site at this moment, it is currently used as a temporary sand volleyball court, as well as a construction staging area for the Wordsworth project. And this and the current site is the good thing about this is approximate location to all the complements facility. For example, the Westbrook Community Center, the community field, as well as the nearby splash park and shopping center. The site do have a good footprint to support a future dog park. And in terms of our process is that we hired a consultant, Richard Finney, landscaping architect, for the design and the layout of the initial dog park work. So as part of the investigation and just to checking out the overview of what would be the best placement of the dog park space, we did quick siting studies in terms of the Vancouver School Board recent build in terms of elementary school. And the next slide in here, it included 3 overlay of the elementary school footprint on the existing area. And based on the studies, the outcome of in terms of the area that will be most likely undisturbed by future school development will be the one that is marked in pink area. That is closer to the north side and also Weber Lane. In terms of the dog park, there are a few items that we we have been in place thinking about what is a should-have item and what the residents would like to see. So the outcome for this report is we are looking forward to have an engagement session toward fall, so that we will be able to get more inputs and comments coming and feedbacks coming from the communities and the residents. And in terms of the dog park, its location will be suitable to service all neighborhood within 15 minutes walking distance, except Chancellor. And here is a quick overlay layout in terms of where about the dog park is. So just a quick explanation of what the dog park includes. It includes both the larger dog space for the quieter dogs or shyer dogs, and also a larger dog park space for the larger dogs to run around. And in terms of the layout, at the moment we strategically put the smaller dog closer to the residents in a way that will hope to serve as a buffer to reduce the large dogs disturbance, which we try to put the larger dogs park space further away into the west area of the proposed layout. And for the dog park space, we also, there are a few guiding principles that we work with the landscape architect. The first thing is to retention and the longevity of the dog park space by positioning it in a way that will be the least likely be disturbed by future elementary school development. And then another guiding principle is for community accessibility. So we want to take this opportunity to enhance accessibility within the neighborhood by setting up new pathways to replace the existing cow path that's connecting both Ross Drive to Weber Lane. And on top of it, the final guiding principle is to help building community connections within personal, within dog owners and between communities. So there will be amenities, for example, like shading structures in consideration, and also a gathering point benches that will help community connections. In terms of the project timeline, we are planning to have a fall engagement session if the board approved. And then the engagement session will be approximately 6 weeks. We will do engagements through both online survey, landing page, as well as in-person open house down the road. From a financial perspective, the constructions of this dog park space at a higher level estimate is at approximately $200,000. And then we are planning to have an additional 15% contingency for the project. And currently, this $230,000 is unbudgeted, so it means that we need to find a funding source to support it. And the recommendation is to look into Community Works Fund, which Community Works Fund currently have approximately $200,000 unallocated funds sitting in the balance. And then for the remaining $30,000, we are looking forward to withdraw that as a contingency from the current operation expense. And finally, from an operations perspective, in the long run, we expect the cost will be absorbed by the current operation cost, as well as with the municipal team. So there is not a significant increase in terms of cost and also administrative responsibility. And thinking about looking forward is so looking forward in case for the next step is to first working with UBC as well as Metro Vancouver electoral area A for the Community Works Fund application, and then and at the same time also to plan for the community engagement process as listed in the report. So I think that would be it. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Wegland. I think before we continue with the recommendations, just might be open the floor for discussions and questions, comments. Go ahead, Murray first, and then.
Thanks, Wegland. I have two questions. One is, what is the proposed ground cover? Is it, what is the blue? Is it, did the consultants or the proposal have an idea of what that would be? Is it dirt, gravel, grass, artificial? The second question is, how does the anticipated volume of barking compare to that of a basketball?
Thank you, Murray. So good questions. In terms of the surface material, it is actually just a doodle right now. So at this moment, most likely it would be the grass that we currently have, with some pathways in the area. But those are mainly just gravel. But at the same time, the surface material will be limited in terms of the choice, limited really by the budget available. So I just want to flag that. And then in terms of your second questions, we have yet to do some studies in terms of the dog bark coming from the operation, because dog bark is kind of difficult to engage, but we would happy to look into that furthermore.
Thanks, Murray. Just a comment, because Eagle and I were involved in the committee that examined some of the options. Although it is a doodle, my assumption was that this, if you look at the pictures of other dog parks that are sort of in there, you know, some of the, it appeared to me that it would just be a well-worn path, like dirt. Yeah. So, but I'm not sure if there's any special material.
In terms of the path materials, I think we had some discussions about using some road crush and making a usable surface for folks. Again, not a permanent paving of paths for the dog park area itself. We'll have to investigate materials. There's a number of options that range from relatively inexpensive to more expensive in terms of gravels or sand or wood chips or whatever the case may be in the dog play areas themselves. And some of that will be driven by the detailed design process and in the end by the budget.
Thanks. Actually, no, I'm sorry. But I don't know. Okay, that'd be great. Yep, thank you very much. Eagle.
Yeah, thanks, Wegland, for all the work that's gone into this so far, and for Carol for working with us on it, and Paul and Richard as well. I was also on this committee. I just wanted to note that under the decision requested, there are 3 elements, and the first 2 have been addressed here by Wegland. So public engagement process, apply for fundings from the Community Works Fund. The third, I think, requires a little bit of explanation, and I'd like to weigh in on this a bit. So like many other people in our community, I've long seen a need for some kind of space for dogs, dog owners, people who love dogs, who want to watch the dogs, somewhere in the neighborhoods. And I know that that campus planning and UBC Properties Trust had considered this earlier, but a combination of factors has led them not to pursue that in the past. But I think we have a kind of a critical mass of interest in pursuing a dog park. As we started to work on this, work on it together, think about possible locations, it seemed to me, and I'm speaking for myself now, but I was, I said these things in our meetings, that we should think of this space where the dog park might go as more than just a dog park, but as part of a larger space used by the public, a kind of complex of parks, really. We already have the splash park in place. There's a green area. It's just kind of right out here that is used informally by a lot of people, but formally it's mostly part of the future school site. There's, the walkways that are, well trodden, but a bit muddy in the winter. And these are walkways that are made simply by people, the public, using the space. And I thought, well, it would actually be great to think more holistically about this project. And so I proposed, maybe somewhat fancifully, but that we also try to build momentum and support and find funding for, a gazebo out here or some kind of covered space for picnic tables for the, I guess I would call it the proper maintenance of the green spaces out here, which are kind of a bit of an afterthought at times. They're pocked with holes, and even though people do regularly walk through that area, it's not really fully maintained for that purpose. But in our conversations, I came to realize that if we tried to do that, we might not get the dog park at all, and so that we should limit things to the dog park, but also get the community thinking and all of the various people who have involvement and jurisdiction over these spaces, thinking about how we can make this the best park center that we can for residents, and it benefits everyone going forward, I think, and is perhaps in the grand scheme of things not as big of an investment as to be insurmountable, I guess. So that's what item C is. Work with UBC as part of the Westbrook Place Neighborhood Plan Amendment, which unfortunately it sounds like will not include anything other than the South Campus sections. And Carol can maybe speak to that. I thought it would include the entire neighborhood and give an opportunity for residents to weigh in on how existing neighborhood features, services, all those things are working for everyone. And I'd be disappointed to hear that all of a sudden everything else is off the table. But anyway, I'll just put that out there. So I think when it comes time to make the motion, I would like to include item C in the motion, even if it may not be executed exactly as stated there, because we don't actually know what the Westbrook neighborhood planning process planning process will look like. But nonetheless, I think it's important to put that out there and to have that as part of the conversation as we move forward with the dog park.
Thanks, Eagle. I'm wondering if just on that basis, before we actually make the motion, if there's any comment on that. Is there anything harmful about this, or cautious notes of caution?
No, I think it's all fair comments. I think regardless of the scope of a planning process in a neighborhood, I think what a planning process with good engagement will do is highlight insights about what is working and what's not working in a neighborhood, even though the scope is the south of the neighborhood. I think inherently we'll learn a lot about what residents feel about the neighborhood, what's working, what's not working, what could be improved. And so that intelligence, I think, will be really helpful in a process like potential additions for the area adjacent to the dog park moving forward.
Yeah, that's great. If I can add my comment, just being part of the committee, I'm really excited about this this proposal. I would just say that there's been tons of work, and if you read the details of the report, there's a lot of work that's gone into in examining all the potential aspects and where this might work best, where it might not. And I just want to thank the UNA staff and campus community planning for helping us get to this point. I'm convinced that this is a good option, and I'm also very excited about the public consultation process, because I'm hopeful that it will turn out positive. If it doesn't, at least we'll know. I think we've done things very well to get to this point, and I just want to make that point. So, okay, so are we ready for a motion? And yep.
Okay, I move that the board direct staff to initiate the public engagement process on the UNA dog park as circulated. I'm going to take the UNA out of there. I'm going to initiate the public engagement process on the dog park as circulated. It doesn't need a name.
Are you including all three, A, B, and C in the?
Is it okay with everyone to just do them all together?
Let's do them all
B,
together.
apply for funding from the Community Works Fund to support the construction of the dog park. And C, work with UBC as potentially as part of the Westbrook Place neighborhood plan amendment process on the potential expansion of the park space in Westbrook Place.
Second that. I just being part of the
committee, I think that's just like that. Yeah, that's great. Okay, any further discussion? Well, let's vote. All in favor? Faye, I can't see your vote. I'm not sure if I.
Yeah, I am in favor. Sorry.
Okay, great. Yep, thank you. Okay, so the motion passes unanimously. That's great. Very excited about this. All right. The next item on our agenda is the staffing for UNA social media report. Glenda.
Hi again. This is a follow-up to a report that we submitted on May 2024 about the campus resident community newspaper. It stemmed from the fact that we have a joint role in the newspaper editor and the social media specialist position, and there was a request to investigate increasing the print publication schedule of the campus resident, and this then kind of brought up questions about what does it do for staff capacity and our ability to continue providing and improving our social media services. The report here is just meant to be a starting off for discussion. We've kind of outlined benefits of having good social media, some kind of comparisons to different townships and municipalities of comparable size, and also comparisons with Vancouver and UBC because of our proximity to them. Also, some information on stuff that we could be doing that we aren't able to do because we don't have the capacity right now, which I think what we think would be quite beneficial to a lot of our goals and strategic goals as well, and that's all I outlined in the report. I've also highlighted a couple of options for the board if this was something that they wanted to pursue, which is hiring a full-time social media specialist and a part-time social media specialist, and also the benefits and the benefits of both. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any for me, or if you'd like me to expound on a few things, I'm happy to as well.
Thanks, Glenda. Eagle, did you have a comment?
Yeah, thanks so much, Glenda. I really appreciated the work and the thought that went into this report. And I wanted to make a few comments that emerged from my experience as the chair of the newspaper editorial committee, and my observations of our social media presence, although I can't say that I'm the most Instagrammy of us all here, but anyway, but I also want to note that because we don't have our full complement of board members here today, I did suggest that we move forward with a report here without a formal recommendation. And so after our discussion, should others be supportive, I'm gonna move that that this return to our October meeting with a formal recommendation that we can consider and vote on, and that would, you know, include the options that Glenda, you lay out here in the report. So should I stop there for a second, or should I go ahead and provide some observations?
So I think we understood what your intent is. If you stop there, I think there might be space for other people to comment, and then we could maybe address some of that in your further comments. Is that yeah? Okay. So yeah, Aisha, I think you had a.
I just wanted to provide a comment. I know that at the AMS, we really utilize social media to connect with students, and it works. We really reach students. So if like from the report, it also seems like there's an emphasis to kind of get on par with like the other municipalities within the region as well. And if you're trying to also reach students within the neighborhood, I would really recommend, just from personal experiences and working within the space as well, social media goes a long way in terms of really spreading the word and like connecting to students as well. It would make the UNA honestly a more student-centric, friendly space. And I think it would also be accessible, like letting students know or letting folks know in the neighborhood what events are happening when. It's easy to share. I know that the board member piece is completely valid, but this is a really great report, and I think social media would go a long way in terms of really spreading what the UNA is up to within the area.
Thanks, Aisha. Could you, by chance, tell us, do you employ a full-time position for this type of thing, or?
We have an entire team. So we have a marketing director, and then we also employ work learns throughout the year, but our marketing director has about 3 full-time staff who work around the clock to make sure that posts are up, our website's updated. But when people look for resources, they usually turn to either or. But yeah, we have a full team.
Okay, thank you. Significant, yeah. I guess you're dealing with a larger scale. The university is 50,000, 60,000, I don't know, plus students, right? Yeah.
61 now.
61. All right.
Okay.
Other comments or questions? No. Okay, Eagle, if you've got.
Yeah, I will keep it brief because the report very well outlines the kind of the complexity of this issue, and notes that it's tied up to I'll say I think the success of the newspaper. It's grown quickly. There are a tremendous number of volunteers who are writing for, taking pictures for the newspaper, who are involved with editing the paper, getting it out, and with success, it also is a bit, I don't know about a burden. It's probably a very joyful burden for our editor who's sitting right behind me. But it's a lot of work to manage all of those volunteers and to do all the stories and et cetera, and so the question of whether the UNA hires a full or half-time social media, what do we call it? Expert? I don't know. Specialist. Thank you. This specialist is tied to. I think it's a product of even the wonderful success of the newspaper at achieving the goals that we set out for it when we decided a few years back to renew the newspaper. And so I wanted to just add that testimonial to the excellent report that Glenda put together on it.
Thanks very much, Eagle. I think we will support fully coming, I don't think we even need a motion to do that, just to ask the staff to come back with a recommendation. That'd be great. One of the comments I have in looking at this is I think we're experiencing for positive reasons. We're experiencing growing pains, right? We've got we're growing, and now we're going to be faced with decisions based on maybe limited resources of our income versus a real need to serve the community and to get this done. So I'm very hopeful that we will move forward with something here, but I recognize that there will be some debate and challenges regarding that. Yeah. Okay. Just a check with Paul. There's no need for a motion, is there, for us in terms of the bringing things back? Okay.
Well, I think that's fine. We've heard loud and clear. We'll come back in October.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks very much. Good. Well, I know I said I would do a time check at 7 o'clock. We're not quite where I thought we were. I was thinking about the media policy, relations policy report, but just to check, is everybody hungry here? Shall we take a 15-minute break? I'm getting thumbs up. Okay, so I'm going to...
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just before you do that,
yep.
Maybe I'll just turn the floor over to Carol, just in terms of, we have one item in closed session,
yep.
And there is some concern about how late we're holding some university UBC staff.
Yeah.
So there's a request.
Thank you. I'm not sure if this is not in order with the rules of how the UNA board should be conducting itself, but I wondered if when we do break for dinner, if we could move into closed to allow for that agenda item and then move back into open and complete the open agenda after dinner, sort of have a working dinner, and then move back to closed for the other items.
I think if the board wants to do that we could do that. One question is the item in the closed session, is it time specific? Would it be like starting at 7:30 or?
No, the only reason why I ask is I'm just looking at the open agenda, and it might mean that the closed item and our guests might be here until 8:30 waiting around, that's all. So just this, I thought to be expedient with time might be helpful.
Eagle?
Approximately how long are we talking for the presentation?
Yeah. I think we could do it in 15, 20 minutes max. Depends on how much conversation the board wants to have, but it really is just information sharing at this point in time.
Okay, and I'll just double check with Chris on procedure, but I think what we can do, I refer to this as stated hour, but I think we could say, well, we're going to break now and we will return and move into a closed session immediately for a stated hour presentation at 7:30. And I think we'll have to have a motion to go into closed session for that time. And then we'll just move to go out of closed session and we'll return to our agenda as stated. That's the way I would do it. Is that okay? Okay, great. Well, I'm seeing people nodding their heads, so we're going to take a break now, 15 minutes plus a minute or two to come back by, for sure, 7:28. Okay, great. We're going to have a break.
into the open session. And we're down to the Media Relations Policy Report. Glenda.
Hi again. Just a quick background on the media relations policy. It's just that we're growing. We're receiving a lot more media requests. What is recommended on the report is something that we're already practicing. We just kind of wanted to make it official by passing a policy. I think there were amendments that were submitted through email, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have any questions about the policy, I'm happy to answer.
Sure, go ahead, Paul.
I just wanted to add that I know there's been some questions raised, I think, from some directors about where this came from, and largely, I think, as Glenda pointed out, the organization's been growing. We get more and more media contacts. We're already carrying out these processes largely in this way, and this is policy approach of formalizing them, making sure they're written down, making sure that everyone understands, and it's both for the perspective of for the board. It's a board policy, but also internally so that we can communicate with our staff about what they're to do if they're contacted out of the blue by someone in the media asking questions. This is very typical in most, certainly municipal organizations and other organizations, that there is this kind of policy framework around managing the media when there's questions. And I think it's an important step forward for the maturation of the UNA as well.
Thanks, Paul. Any questions or discussions before we move to the motion itself? Okay.
So first of all, I entirely support what you guys are doing here, and I agree that it's very important, and that this policy will help systematize this in ways that I'm sure will be helpful for you, but will be good for the organization in general. So I'm very much in support of the report, of the proposal. There was one section of the proposed policy that raised some questions for me, and I am going to be offering an amendment later, which I have pre-circulated, but I'll nonetheless offer it as a formal amendment to the motion, or there might be another process, but let me just explain it, and then we can figure out how to do it best procedurally. So it's very important, I think, for us to protect the, autonomy of board members as kind of representatives of residents in the community to speak out on issues that are before the UNA, that come to the board, that are involved in public conversation. And so I suggested that we amend the policy to be very specific about, we're referring to people who are going to be speaking on behalf of the UNA. That is speaking, kind of as the voice of the UNA in some way or another, but not regarding anything to do with the UNA. And so my amendments are in that spirit. And then there are a few, I would call them minor drafting issues that our absent board colleague has brought up, and I've just to try to simplify things. I've summarized those in an amendment form, I guess is the way to put it.
Great. So my only question with regard to those amendments is, I know that the staff have, Paul has been aware of them, and what I think, Carol and Holly and Asia, these you don't get a vote, but do you understand what's going on, and do you have questions about this? Just because what I'm about to do is going to maybe skip a step. Are you concerned, or have you got
no concerns? I think it's great and very helpful policy to have in place, and in line with what we do in our department and across the institution as well.
Right. Okay, great. So in the interest of time, because staff has been made aware of these amendments, I think that we just use the same, just note that they've been circulated and just say, I'll move that the board approve the media relations policy 0404 and its associated procedures and guidelines as circulated and amended. And that will include, because I think all the board members have seen the amendments. So if we just stick with that, that's all we'll do. So do I have a seconder on that?
Are you moving?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Eagle, great. Yeah, very good. Discussion? All in favor? Good. Faye, I haven't got you. I can't see you.
I'm in favor. Sorry, I'm in the car. It's dark.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks very much. Good. So the motion passes, and I think that's great. Good. So then the next item is the UNA and YMCA before and after school care program sublicense agreement. Wegland.
Thank you very much, Richard. So this is the annual renewal for the high in demand YMCA before and after school program that is running in both the Old Barn Community Center as well as the Westbrook Community Center. And the most recent update number that I got is for the Old Barn before and after school program, they currently have 128 children that is currently on the waiting list, while for the Westbrook Community Center before and after school program, they currently have about 140 children that is on the wait list. This renewal, it's going to be renewed a 1-year term sublicense agreement as per before, and it will be expire on August 31st, 2025. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Sorry, Carol.
Wegland, does it need to be annual or can it be a longer period of time?
Very good question, Carol. The idea is that after next year, once we have other YMCA license going to be renewed at the same time, the idea is to combine all before and after school daycare into one to make it multi-year.
Okay. So I'll move that the board approve the UNA YMCA before and after school care program sublicense agreement and authorize the chair or the CAO to execute the agreement as circulated. Seconded, Murray. Discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. Great. Okay, Finance and Audit Committee update. The financial results report. Athena.
The Q1 report is before you. I think basically because Q1 very typical is very because of the timing. A lot of the result that's presented here is not, I would say, it's just an index, just going as a trend. So there's nothing really I wanted to highlight. And also when we were in the Finance and Audit Committee, we also go through a few things. But the only item I would like to mention here is the neighbors levy section, which is in page 112. So this section, most of the number actually have been finalized. Including the fire service, which we will be touching later, we will be talking about later, and the recreation and culture facility. What I wanted to mention is in the new schedule, this amount will be allowing the UBC to withdraw, I think, after July. So just want to mention I've been in contact with UBC discussing about the number because that changes every year due to the CPI. And then we are talking about the withdrawal time and such. So that I believe would not need to go through the board because it's already in the schedules. So it's just we need to just follow the schedule and do that. And I will also touch bases later. There is a specific motion for another report, but that's not related to this part. So just to let everybody know. Other than that, I don't really have anything more to highlight. Yeah, feel free to ask any question.
Murray.
Thanks, Athena. I know we're going to talk about the fire services fee later. It really does leap out at the extent to which its variability, rarely to the benefit, always probably to the on the high side, really throws the budget into an overage situation, and it leaps out, right, as the variance of 19% in just a quarter. And these are, we'll get to it later, I guess, but the totally out of our control, seemingly without even, did you have any sense this was coming, or?
No, I think unfortunately, I think both UBC and us, we don't have any control. We are kind of unfortunately at the passive side, but I do raise some question because they, I think later, might just want to talk about it since we had already talking about there is some notes is being made when this is presented, and I do get back to them is because they said they have some adjustment because of the one time they have to increase some staff and then they have to take care of certain things. I said, fine, like means that you solve that problem, but I expect that I don't see the same trend, right? Like, I mean, because you can't keep on increasing 20%, 40%, and then just saying that I have a problem. Everyone have a problem, but that's not. So the problem solved, we moved on, and then I think supposed to be, I think in a more predictable pattern. So I did bring that up. I did talk about it, and then yeah. So we are in the same page of UBC Finance. We are both grinding our teeth, hoping that we get a better number.
Just to follow up on that, I think Athena, you're aware, and Carol, you're aware, of course, of UNA has long questioned the equity of this charge, and I think it's an area where we talk about ways to align with link arms with UBC and go as on a united front to the province. This is one area that just continues to rankle, and it makes budgetary and fiscal management very, very challenging. So,
thanks, Murray. One thing that I've noted in terms of control, which is that that's the frustrating part about this is that in my mind, and maybe I'm open to be for clarification, but in my mind, the formula that was established, generally speaking, it's about divvying up what the cost is, and therefore the services agreement itself, besides the fact that the tax is unfair, if you argue that we did. There's nothing wrong with the formula or anything in the agreement. Where the problem is really who is in control of fire services. And at first, my initial response was, well, if we were municipal-like or more municipal-like, maybe we could get the fire chief here and get them to explain why these costs are so high. But then I've had conversations with Paul about that, in which even the city of Vancouver is faced with a similar challenge because of the safety nature of fire services, where they're unable to really cut budget or do anything about it. Holly, did you want to comment on that, or is that?
Well, just to add to Athena's point, in our finance meeting, we discussed that some of the factors driving this increase are that there's overtime charges. And so instead of having regular staff time, which would be, I think, more predictable and budget friendly, there's these overtime costs and things like that that tend to really run up the cost. which we don't have any control over, and there's no sort of predictability. And I think maybe it would be worth asking for, I don't know what kind of auditable data they have, or maybe we can press them on. And I think that's what Athena was getting to in terms of, if they say that we're hiring more people next year and the overtime hours should decrease, we should see that in our trends. But that's not what we've been noticing. So it remains a bit of a mystery.
Okay.
I think another point I would like to add is, like, unlike UBC, right? I mean, we're proportionate based on the population, but because UNA, as you see, our top line revenue line, like the neighbors levy, we are getting like 9.7 million. This cost itself is already 2 million. It's like 20% without us doing anything, like already spent, right? So for us, really, like, I think if we want to ask question, I mean, I'm for it. Like, yeah, cost control we're talking about, this is like, for us, 20% without doing anything for us already gone out the window. So, I mean, for me, it's a huge line, like,
But the target is really not UBC or the province.
No, yeah.
The target is the fire services people themselves, right? The ones who have these costs, right? That's okay. And maybe we can talk about, I don't know, lobbies of that, but I think that we'd have to team up with other municipalities. Maybe Jen could get involved in that or something. But as the area A director, I mean, that's because that's the scale of the problem, really, and that's my point. Is it's
there needs to be some kind of accountability, and we're not getting that.
Yeah, in a way, it doesn't have anything to do with the unfairness of the rural property tax. It has only something to do with the control the fire services people, province and nationwide, have over their costs, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's probably not enough discussion. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, has UBC not said? Could you explain how exactly you came up with a $7.5 million charge for us, UBC? Like, I know that, it's bigger budget and our budget's more limited, so it's the percentage of our budget, it's more, but that's still a huge chunk for UBC to be shelling out every year too. So
there is, and I don't know, I think it was provided to all the information, background information that goes into the financial accounting.
It seems to me, and I'm going to say some things and I might be wildly wrong, but fundamentally the challenge is that neither UBC nor the UNA hold a contract for these services. Like, the contract is with the province, and so we actually don't have, we can't actually even talk to the contractor because we don't have a contract with the contractor, right? Only the province has a contract with the contractor and can talk about services for dollars. The rest is just really a flow through. And so I think that's there are fundamental issues with fire services across this country. It is next to policing in municipal circles, the most expensive service that's provided. It is, every municipality faces this cost escalation on a regular basis. We have this really, I think, an even buffered experience because we have no direct control or responsibility for the contract, which may have worked 20 years ago, but as the university and the UNA grows, it doesn't seem to me like that kind of contractual arrangement really fits anymore. That's a much bigger conversation, but I think that's where that's the more fundamental issue. The overtime costs, additional staffing, they're going to be what they're going to be, and we can't really touch that until we can actually contract directly.
We could call the fire chief to report here, or to UBC, right?
Or I guess to Paul's point, we need to get in conversation with the province to
allow us to do that or something.
Yeah, to negotiate on our behalf.
Okay, sorry, that's a great discussion there, but I think, so we've covered both the Fire Protection Services fee report, I think, and also the financial results report. So if we went on to the repayment of UBC financial support, Athena.
So it's similar to what I mentioned before. In 2021, we have a letter agreement with UBC that when our financial position can cover, there is a portion of debt that we need to pay back. And then this motion is regarding that. So there's two parts of this. There's this $85,000 for the facility, the recreation facility charges. And then there is another $3,000 is an owning of some we pay back at that time. UBC did it to us. UBC was helping us, and then we need to pay back. So in total, it's at $86,000. Sorry, $88,000 that we put in the motion. So I have nothing more to add because I think you've probably seen it a few times. And welcome any question that you may have. Yeah.
Thanks, Athena. Questions, discussion? Eagle, I guess you're part of the finance committee.
Oops, I'll make the motion then. I move that the board approve the withdrawal by UBC of $88,676 from the Neighbors Fund in lieu of the UNA paying that amount to UBC pursuant to a letter agreement dated July 19th, 2021.
Seconder? Murray? Faye, do you want to second a motion maybe? Just get your name in the minutes? Okay, good. All right. Good, Faye, thank you. Seconded by Faye. Discussion. All in favor? Motion passes. Great. Okay, the Municipal Finance Authority Pooled Investments Funds Report. Athena.
Me again. So the MFA came, online meet with the Finance and Audit Committee. I think they gave a presentation, quite a long presentation to answer a lot of questions. So at the end, so the committee decided to open an account with them. So there's no investment decision that been made yet, but it's just to open an account. So this motion is just for that. So I think welcome any question that you might have.
Thanks, Athena. Does anyone have any questions or comments? No, go ahead.
Just to make the motion.
Yep.
Okay. I move that the board authorize the finance manager to enter into the process to open an account with the Municipal Finance Authority.
Seconder? Mary? He beat Faye. All right. Yeah. Okay. Discussion. All in favor? Good. The motion passes. Great. Okay, we're getting close here. The board vacancy policy report. Chris.
Thank you. I won't belabor it. I think the report in your package summarizes the reasons why the policy is being recommended. I'll add, of course, that there have been some discussions offline by email in terms of how to proceed with this policy. Bill has sent me some suggested drafting changes and a couple more substantial changes as well. So happy to transact with those if we want some details here, but I understand, Eagle, that you might be interested in deferring this policy to a future meeting as well. So happy to hear that first before anything.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'll just speak to that very briefly. And first of all, thanks so much. This has been, a long-term thing, and you all have put a lot of work into it, and it's very much appreciated. And what's outlined in the report seems very much in line with what we have discussed and have been trying to move towards. But I'm going to propose that we defer this agenda item to the October meeting and give the staff the opportunity to make some revisions, and also so that we will have completed the AGM, at which point we will know whether the membership approves the changes in the bylaws that would be required in order to put into place this new policy.
Okay, I think I get the, so there's proposed amendments which are going on in the background, but so I think what you would do is just move to refer it back to the GHR committee, which would then, you know, we would take all the proposed amendments that you've got and we would look at that again and then bring it back in October for that.
That's fine. I actually didn't propose any amendments. No, Bill provided some drafting suggestions.
Oh, okay.
But my point isn't that there's any problem. It's the order, and also, in addition to that, I would like to wait for a meeting where Bill Holmes could be present as well.
Okay, but so Bill did have sight of this. I mean, he's seen the agenda of this meeting.
Yes.
And it's coming up. He's provided feedback, corrections. I'm not. So that part of it, I don't think is really in order here. But your point about wanting to defer until October after the AGM, I think is worth considering. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Murray?
Just to say, I'm in agreement with that. I think we should get the bylaws approved by the membership, and then we can proceed to align on policies that derive from the bylaws.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, then still defer back to the GHR committee and we'll bring it back in October. So just make that motion. It's a motion to defer, I believe, or refer, sorry.
As long as the timing works for you.
Yes,
so I
it's
guess,
fine.
Okay, so I move that we refer the proposed, the board vacancy policy report back to the GHR committee for revision, and then to come back to the board in October.
Excellent. Does a motion to refer require a second? Or is it just voted on? I think this is a procedural thing, sorry.
Sorry, I'm not Chris. You know, that one comes up less often, so it doesn't specify, so it's better that it's
so we can just have a seconder. Okay, Murray seconded. I don't think it does require, but that's fine. We'll get all in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Good. Okay, so we're now finished our open meeting, and I'm just going to recommend that the board now adjourn into a closed session to discuss the matters that are related to discussions.
Sorry, Bill's report on the neighbors agreement.
Did I miss? Oh, yep. It was for information. Yeah. Okay. I'll just cover that. There we go. Bill's report on the neighbors agreement is before you, and yeah, it's a history of what's happened. Maybe Murray, you're part of the neighbors committee. Do you want to provide a comment, or is it just leave it as is?
I think my comment would be there's been a significant engagement, and you'll see from the notes a steady, if not accelerating rhythm of meetings. I think there's a shared desire to get this completed this year in time for the November Board of Governors meeting. I think there's a line of sight to do that, but it does require that we continue to make the progress. I guess we surmount a few final issues and get feedback on these from UBC. So I think as Bill points out in his report, we are waiting for the UBC's response right now, and we're hopeful that we can get it done.
And I think the key part that I read is the last paragraph. I will propose to the other NA committee members that we provide the current versions of all NA 2024
documents the body and schedules to the board in October for discussion at the scheduled board meeting. Right, so that, I mean, it's coming to the board in October, which is great. Excellent. Yeah, thank you, Murray. Any other discussion? Nope. Great. Now I'll make the recommendation. I'm not going to read it out, but it's the recommendation as written in the agenda to move to the closed session. All in favor? Or sorry, seconder? Eagle? All in favor? Motion passes. Great. Okay, so now we can go back to the closed session. I see Murray's headed out. Do you guys want to take a 3-minute break? Just take a quick break, maybe 5 minutes or something, but
Oh.